Hello boys and girls of grade 6. I am teacher Melinda Hughes, and today we will be doing social studies. For social studies, we will examine the topic the family. However, we will focus specifically on the people who came. The people who came. In this lesson, we will examine two groups of people who came to Guyana. The family is made up of one race, which is the human race. The human race was first divided into three main groups, namely the Negroid, meaning black, Mongoloid, meaning yellow, and the Caucasoid, meaning white. Over the years, these three groups have intermarried, causing the world to have various ethnic groups. So we will examine the ethnic groups in Guyana. In Guyana, there are 6 main ethnic groups, namely the Amerindians, the Europeans, the Africans, the Portuguese, the East Indians, and the Chinese. However, over time, a 7th group developed, and this group consists of 2 or more of the groups that already exist who would have intermarried. So for example, we have East Indians and Africans, Amerindians and East Indians would have intermarried, and as a result, the 7th ethnic group was formed. Now we will examine facts and details about the Amerindians. The Amerindians were the first set of people to live in Guyana. The Amerindians are the indigenous people of Guyana, commonly known as the First People. The Amerindians were also called the American Indians. They came from Asia, in a place called Mongolia. The Amerindians crossed the Bering Strait to reach North America. Alaska is the first part of America that the Amerindians reached. The Bering Strait is a narrow body of water which was frozen at that time. The frozen body of water was also called the Ice Bridge. So, the Ice Bridge connected Asia and North America, 2 continents. The Amerindians crossed the Ice Bridge or the Bering Strait by following animals. As a result, they eventually reached North, Central, and South America and the Caribbean as they searched for food. The Amerindians left Asia during the Ice Age to follow animals, for example, buffalo and seals. As they moved from one feeding ground to another, that means from continent to continent or country to country. So in the map, we see the location of Mongolia on the continent of Asia from where the Amerindians came. Next, we will identify the Amerindian tribes in Guyana. There are 9 Amerindian tribes in Guyana, 4 main tribes and 5 sub-tribes that settled in Guyana. They are 1. The Arawaks, 2. The Caribs, 3. The Warraus, and 4. The Wapisianas. Those are the 4 main tribes of Amerindians in Guyana. The 5 sub-tribes are the Patamonas, the Macushis, the Waiwais, the Akawayos, and the Aricunas. Now the Amerindians have a unique way of life. So let's examine that. The Amerindians were hunters and fishermen, and they still continue to hunt and fish today. They knew how to trap animals for food. They were skillful in making weapons out of stones and bones. They used their stone and bone knife to scrape the skin of animals to make clothing. They later learned how to cultivate the land and produce food from plants. Therefore, we can say that the Amerindians obtained their food from farming, hunting, fishing. Food from seed that they obtained are maize and peanut. They use these foods as their main diet. Cassava is used to prepare foods such as cassava bread, and kasrip, a liquid that they use when cooking farin tapioca. Drinks such as alcoholic beverages like paiwari and kasiri. Kasrip, of course, is used to make pepper pot and also their favorite tuma pot. Farin is produced from cassava after it is dried. So there we have it, the diet of the Amerindians. Now we will examine a few of their dances. Yes, they do the Mari Mari, the Baboon and Karen Crow dance. The dances, Mari Mari, Baboon and Karen Crow dance. What are some of the beliefs of the Amerindians? Of course, they believe in several things. Each Amerindian tribe has its own beliefs and customs. For example, the Patamonas believe in Makanaima, who is their god or the supreme being. The Amerindians believe in spirit gods. Example, Makanoma, the supreme god of heaven and earth. Pujaikma, the mountain spirit of diseases such as influenza, etc. Maigok, a forest spirit who is invisible, who you cannot see. When he attacks, he causes vomiting, fever, and fits. The Kanaima is another belief that the Amerindians share in. The Kanaima, an evil male spirit which goes around killing other Amerindians for some wrong they did to him or her or to members of his or her family. Then they also believe in the Masakura man and Bush Dai Dai. So these are some of the beliefs of the Amerindians. The Patamonas believe in Makanaima, we have the Makanama, we have the Pujaikma, Maikok, Kanaima, Masakura man, and Bush Dai Dai. The Amerindians, after they would have settled in Guyana, would have made several contributions. And so those contributions are outstanding to the Guyanese society. One, they named some of our rivers. For example, the Cuyuni and Mazaruni rivers. Those were two of the many rivers that they named in Guyana. They also named some of our waterfalls, the majestic Kaitro Fall, the Amatok waterfall. Those are just two of the waterfalls that they would have named. In addition to that, they changed the spelling of the name that Guyana had, G-U-I-A-N-A, to capital G-U-Y-A-N-A, which is an Amerindian word that simply means land of many waters or watery country. So yes, the Amerindians named Guyana from the capital G-U-I-A-N-A to capital G-U-Y-A-N-A. Next, they would have contributed the name Mashramani. Mashramani, yes, that's a celebration after hard or cooperative work. And so in February every year, on the 23rd, Mashramani is one of the festivals that Guyanese celebrate, all because that was adopted or contributed by the Amerindians. Next, they have food. So what are some of their foods that Guyanese partake of? Pepper pot. Oh yes, the favorite pepper pot that is made most times at Christmas by families across Guyana. They also contributed cassava bread, and we have tasso, that's meat that is dried. And so these are some of the contributions that the Amerindians would have made to the Guyanese society. They also have craft work that they do. So what are some of those? They have hammocks, which is used by many Guyanese. Nibi furniture, baskets, tibisiri mats, ornaments, jewelry made from beads. So in addition to craft work, there are places where the Amerindians settled. Yes, they would have settled in certain parts of Guyana. One of those places is Mahaika. Next, Maikoni, the Abari River, the Mazaruni River, Oriala, Pakaraima, Pomeroon. These are just some of the places where the Amerindians settled. Of course, there are many others, but we will focus only on these. The head of an Amerindian settlement or reservation is called the captain or tushal. So some of the places where the Amerindians settled, for example, in Oriala or in the Pacaraimos, they have settlements there. There is a captain or tushal on those settlements. Next, we'll examine what the traditional homes of the Amerindians are called and what they are made of. The traditional homes of the Amerindians are called benabs. Their homes, or those homes, are made out of truli palm, ite palm, shingle, and wood bark. Those are some of the materials that the Amerindians use to make their traditional homes. So, boys and girls, this has brought us to the end of our lesson on the Amerindians. We will now look at details about the Europeans. The Europeans were the second set of people to arrive in British Guyana, now Guyana. There are 4 groups of Europeans who came to British Guyana. Those groups are the Dutch, who came from the Netherlands, the Spanish, who came from Spain, the French, who came from France, and the English, who came from England. These groups all came from the continent of Europe, and that is why they are referred to as the Europeans. Now, why did the Europeans come to Guyana? There are 2 main reasons. One, they came in search of the golden city El Dorado, and they also came in search of new lands for their country. However, when the Europeans came to British Guyana, they decided to settle. Why did they settle? They settled to cultivate the soil. They settled in British Guyana to trade with the Amerindians. The Europeans traded with the Amerindians through a system called barter. Bartering is the exchange of goods and services without the use of money. Some items that the Europeans exchanged or bartered with the Amerindians were knives, axes, lengths of cloth, and colored beads. In addition, the Amerindians exchanged goods with the Europeans. So what were some of those? Hemp, which was used for making rope for ships. Anato dye, which was used to dye cloth. Foodstuff, such as butter and cheese. Yes, these were some of the items that were exchanged with the Amerindians by the Europeans. In order for the Europeans to trade with the Amerindians, they had to set up trading ports where the 2 groups could meet to barter. So the Europeans built forts to protect themselves from invaders. The Dutch were the first to set up trading posts and build forts in British Guyana. Some of the forts that the Europeans built in Guyana are Fort Kaikovarol, which can be found at the confluence of the Essequibo and Cuyuni and Mazaruni rivers. Fort Zeelandia, which can be found at the mouth of the Essequibo River. Fort Nova Zelanda, this can be found up the Pomeroon River. They also built Fort St. Andrews, which was built at the confluence of the Kanji and Berbice rivers. And finally, Fort Nassau, which was built 50 miles up the Berbice River. So what are those forts? Fort Kaikovarol, Fort Zeelandia, Fort Nova Zeelandia, Fort St. Andrews, and Fort Nassau. So there we have some pictures of the forts. Fort Kaikovarol, Fort Zeelandia, Fort Nassau. Of course, the Europeans planted crops. So what are some of the crops that they cultivated? The Europeans recognized that the soil was suitable for cultivating tobacco and some other crops. Now, due to the demand for tobacco in Europe, the Europeans decided to plant tobacco in British Guyana. Yes, they planted tobacco. Then later on, they planted cotton and sugar. Sugar was also needed for making cakes, biscuits, and sweetener for beverages. So, the planting of the sugar cane became dominant. In order to meet the demand for sugar, the Europeans enslaved the Amerindians. Of course, the Amerindians were not accustomed to such hard work on the plantations. So what they did, some of them ran away into the forest, and unfortunately, some of them died because of diseases that they contracted from the Europeans. To continue the cultivation when the Amerindians ran away, the Europeans decided to use Africans as slaves. Of course, slavery did not last forever. It was abolished. And so after slavery was abolished, the Europeans brought the Portuguese, the East Indians, and Chinese as indentured laborers. So next we will examine the contributions that were made by the Europeans to the Guyanese society. First and foremost, the language, the English that Guyanese speak was contributed by the Europeans since Guyana was a colony of the English-speaking country of Great Britain. They also contributed food such as pastries, puddings, and pies. Also clothing like dress, suit, ties, and apron. So the Europeans made contribution to the Guyanese society. They also would have named places. Some of the places that were named by the English are Border, Lethem, Kingston, Wales, Anna Regina, Charity, and Georgetown. The Dutch. The Dutch names are Stabroek, Betterverwachting, Eifvlot, Vredenhoek, Soesdijk. Some places that were named by the French are Le Repentir, Le Rissouvenir, Chatamargo, Malgretoux, Lagrange. Some of the places that were named by the Spanish are Santa Rosa and El Dorado. So boys and girls, this has brought us to the end of our lesson on the Europeans. Next we'll have a quiz. We will do a little quiz based on the Amerindians and the Europeans. And so you will follow and answer for yourself as you choose your answer from the options that you will see. So question 1. Guyana's native people crossed the A. Caribbean Sea, B. Mediterranean Sea, C. Caspian Sea, and D. Bering Sea. So yes, boys and girls, if you did say Bering Sea, then you are correct, because the native people of Guyana, the Amerindians, crossed the Bering Sea. Next question. The indigenous people made their weapons using A. Stones and bones, B. Coconuts, C. Cloth, and D. Leaves. I am sure that you did choose A. The indigenous people made their weapons using stones and bones. Yes, boys and girls, I am sure you did, and even if you didn't, then you pay attention keenly. Next question. The Amerindians have made useful contributions to society. Which of the following is not a contribution they have made? A. They named rivers. B. They have given us a variety of foods like cassava and pepper pot. C. They have given one of our tongues the name Georgetown. And D. They gave us the name Mashromani. Choose your answer. Yes, boys and girls, I am sure you were excited because the answer is C. The answer is C. which of the following is not a contribution they have made? And that is the Amerindians. They have given one of our tongues the name Georgetown. That is not a contribution that was made by the Amerindians. Of course, it was made by the Europeans, specifically the English. Next question. Why did the Europeans travel to Guyana? A. They came to follow herds of caribou, buffalo, and seals. B. They came in search of new land and gold. C. They came to work on sugar plantations as slaves. And D. They came in search of more people. And that one, the answer is B. The Europeans came in search of new land and gold. So boys and girls, this has brought us to the end of our lesson based on the Amerindians and Europeans. I am certain that you did enjoy the quiz and also the information that you received. You have found it to be very useful. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time as we continue with the other ethnic groups.